What's up, my dudes? Okay, so today we're going to be talking about this whole first-person thing with MXGP 2021. So the reason why I'm making this video, by the way, that's not the gameplay you're even seeing right now, okay? You're seeing MXGP 2020 first-person gameplay. Can you even really tell the difference? Not really. MXGP 2019, MXGP 2020, and from the looks of what I've seen on MXGP 2021, all three of those games are literally going to be so similar that the average person cannot even tell the difference. It's one thing if you go back to like MXGP Pro or MXGP 3, then you can start seeing some differences, but not really between 19, 20, and 21. So anyways, point to this video, I don't really understand what this whole idea and movement and ideology and this thing that I'm seeing around MXGP 2021. It's like people are trying to defend the game by showing first-person gameplay to try to prove that the game is more than what it actually is, right? It's like, oh, we got this new MXGP 2021 game with these super realistic graphics. Let's get it in first person so that people can't tell all of the super repetitive similarities between MXGP 2019 and MXGP 2020, right? Let's get it in first person so that it looks like this realistic, bigger jump, you know, bigger ruts. Everything's going to look a little bit more exacerbated whenever you... That's a funny little word there, boys. Everything's going to look a little more extreme in first person than it does in third person, and you're not going to be able to see as many similarities in first person than you would third person because most people play these games in third person, right? So there's kind of this whole movement I've noticed with some of these particular milestone fanboys out there, right? It's like they're trying to show more first-person gameplay of this new MXGP game to try to prove that it's more than what it really is, you know? And I even got a comment, or this is not just, you know, me formulating all this up in my head. I mean, I even got a comment on one of my past videos. I can't remember exactly what the dude said. I'm going to have to just kind of paraphrase here because I don't even know where that comment is now. It'd be way too hard to find. But, you know, he said something along the lines of, well, Spencer, if you go in there and ride in first person on MXGP 2020, then the jumps will start to feel big enough. Then the jumps will start to feel more normal. And, you know, the scaling will start to feel more normal to you and bigger and what it's supposed to be. It's like, bro, oh, no. Oh, no. You're missing the whole entire point. Since when did we have to play first person in these arcade motocross games to get the full effect of these arcade motocross games? Since when has that ever been a thing? I'm so confused by that. It's bizarre to me. It's like these certain individuals and Milestone themselves, it's like they've totally forgotten what kind of motocross game that they're making. Okay? Milestone is not making a arcade sim hybrid. They're not making a motocross simulator. They're not making some super realistic motocross simulator. This is a arcade motocross game, okay? Do you realize what the majority of people, how they play arcade motocross games? I can promise you it's not in first person, okay? It's third person. That's just the way most people play arcade motocross games, period. Now, when you go to simulators or arcade sim hybrids, it starts to change because most people play simulators in first person, right? Because you're trying to get that more super realistic, hyper realistic vision of everything that you're looking at. But that's not the case in an arcade motocross game. That's why I'm really confused at why these certain people are trying to you know, make a point in showing the first person of MXGP 2021 to try to prove that it's some, you know, the jumps are bigger and the ruts are bigger and it's realistic and it's... No, it's not. It's not realistic. The jumps are not big enough. The speed of the game is not fast enough. It's going to be a slow, boring, repetitive, same shit that you got in MXGP 2020. Dude, you can just see it in the gameplay. Like, I don't know why people try to beat around the bush with Milestone. They try to have this fantasy of, oh man, look at this first-person gameplay though, bro. Look how realistic that looks, bro. No, that's a facade. They're literally bullshitting you. That's a facade fantasy of what people want these MXGP games to be. That's a facade fantasy of what these Milestone fanboys wish that these MXGP games were, but they're actually not. And yeah, it's cool and all to have a good first-person camera in a arcade motocross game. Don't get my words twisted, right? That's totally cool. I've played a shitload of first-person on Reflex with the Reflex first-person mod on PC. It's fun to play an arcade motocross game in first person. I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying some people don't do that, because they do. There is a community around that doing that thing in particular, but that's not what the majority of people are, that's not how the majority of people are going to experience an arcade motocross game. They're going to experience it in third person, period. So if you've got this idea in your head of like, well, if you play the next MXGP game in first person, then you'll get the full experience of the jump scaling and the sizes and the realism and the more realistic feeling on the bike and the dog, I don't even have the words for that sort of mentality. I don't even have the words. It's as if people are trying so hard to defend Milestone that they'll do anything at this point. It's like, instead of just showing the third person and what, I don't even know, man. It's getting hilarious at this point, but that's kind of been the way these Milestone games have been since MXGP 2019 with the first-person camera in particular. They've been improving the graphics, making everything look better. That's the thing with Milestone. They make everything look better. They don't make everything feel better, okay? There's a big difference there. Everything looks better, looks better, looks better, and I feel like some of you boys get a little confused if you're not real deep into these Milestone games. You don't really know what all they're doing with them and shit, right? You'll see some new first-person gameplay of MXGP 2021, and you'll get this whole skewed idea of what the game actually is, right? And I think some of these individuals and Milestone are kind of banking on you doing that, because if you look at the game in third person, strictly third person, especially if that's your first impression of MXGP 2021, you're going to get this idea of what the hell is this MXGP 2020 clone, repetitive, same game type shit, right? But if you see first-person gameplay, you could easily get tricked into thinking that it's more than what it really is if you haven't really played a lot of first-person in MXGP 2020 and MXGP 2019. You see what I'm saying? I'm just trying to give some real-ass, no sugarcoating, Spency boy advice to some of you boys that aren't real deep into these arcade games. Do not get tricked up by this first-person gameplay of MXGP 2021. That's the real point of this video. Don't get tricked up by it, because everything's going to look like it's more than what it is, okay? Super rutty track. Do the ruts actually matter? No, they don't. They don't matter on MXGP 2021. It's the same small visual rut, not a physical rut, visual rut that you can just blow through like it's not even there, okay? The ruts may look bigger to you, the jumps may look a little bigger to you, and all that kind of stuff in first person, but it's a facade, bro. It's not actually that. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a big difference between those two things. Milestone is a facade genius. That's really what they are. They make everything look a certain way. They got the amazing graphics on their side and all this kind of stuff, and they make it visually look like there's ruts just everywhere on the track, and they visually make it look like there's terrain deformation getting formed. And in reality, it's not physically doing any of that. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what I mean by it's all a big facade. This is what I've been trying to tell you boys this whole time. It's a big facade. That's what these Milestone games are, bro. And it's not to say there's no fun that can be had in some of these Milestone games, because there is. I mean, you can go in there and have a little bit of fun in these games. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just saying It's just funny to me how many people, if you sat them down and had them look at MXGP 2021 gameplay and then had them look at Reflex gameplay, there's so many people that would automatically think in their head that MXGP 2021 was a better game than Reflex just because of what everything looks like, right? But the reality of it is, if you really know motocross games, you know that Reflex is so far above MXGP 2021, they can't even be compared in the same dimension, you know? They're not even in the same comparison of actual gameplay and terrain deformation and actual ruts and pre-made ruts and all of that kind of stuff, and skill gap and replayability and jump fun factor and all these other elements. But see, a lot of casual arcade motocross gamers, they don't take any of those things into account, you know, and Milestone is banking on that you're just going to pick up this new game thinking it's some next level realistic super graphical so it looks amazing and it's going to be an incredible next gen level shit, and it's not. It's just not. So anyways, just had to say, I've been seeing a lot of this first person gameplay shit out there for this new MXGP game. Dog, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's not any different. Do not get tricked up by it, okay? Do not get tricked up by it. Either way, man, go follow me up on Instagram at Spencer Turley, no spaces and no capital letters. And if you want to get in the Discord, just DM me on my Instagram. Let me know you want to get in the Discord, and I'll get you in there. But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. You know who keeps it real out here. You know who keeps it real. God dang, man. There's a lot of people not keeping it real. It's really sad to see. But yeah, dogs, I'll see you boys on that next one. Later, dudes.